million different attacks we can do from these positions, right? Again, extend my legs, pinch his ribs, turn, right? This knee, I like to drop it. I think he likes to drop it more horizontal when we do the sweep, but a lot of people will play it up here. I will play it up here defensively just to pull him into that to allow me to move and set up, okay? Now, when I have my position, right, I can push pull him in, right? Up to the top, we're up here, okay? Couple different ways that we can do this. We can go thumb in on the collar, okay? I'll actually start with that because I have something for this side too. But I'm in here, right? Can you do it without changing the script? Yes, you can. But when I pull this up, a lot of times, if I want to go to S-mount or something like that, I'll put my thumb in. So I'm holding, and I'll go thumb in here and get my knuckles on the mat. And then I'm going to dig my forearm into his neck and into his chest, okay? The natural reaction is to relieve some of that pressure. What we do is we can pop that up, bring our knee high, and turn, okay? Now I'm really high. He's got his arms crossed up, right? If this is the arm that's available to me, I'm gonna take it, right? So I'm holding the collar still, but now when I'm ready, I can reach inside the leg, or can post on here. I wanna lean towards his hips, step over, finish towards his feet, okay? So this just happened to be how his arms laid when we got up here. So when that happens, I'm just gonna take this one. If it's the other way around, right? Use this part of my forearm on his outside of his elbow. Open this. He won't tap to this. He's got to straighten his arm, and then I get to this, okay? Either of these are your first and second options up there, okay? So if we end up in this position with this high, I just put my thumb down to the floor. I just changed, that's how Pimenta does it. I just put my forearm down to the floor, or knuckles on the floor. Drive in like I'm gonna get to this choke, right? I can even start to threaten this choke. When he starts to move, it's gonna give me that highest mount. Pinch, so I'm gonna grab the wrist, stick it to my neck, and I'm trapping it with my ear too. So this bone behind my ear. Here, step, finish. Turn towards his feet. I'm gonna kind of twist that arm, but I'm not gonna let this arm come down here. I'm gonna keep it at my neck.
And it's still leveraging at
I'm
the
still
elbow.
gonna twist and look towards his feet and
Okay.
extend my hips into it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so whatever sweep you use to get there, get to this spot, pull this up, and then I'm gonna switch my hand down to the bottom here. And get real heavy, drop, knee high, turn, okay? Finish. All right, start with that, and then we'll do a couple other things today. Yes, sir.
Say if you you go off the pendulum sweep and then you have one, this is gonna be on the arm, this is the one that's diving in, and then you sweep. Right after you sweep, the one that's under the leg switches to the collar down this way?
If we're doing
Off of pendulum?
I do it a little different off the pendulum sweep. So like, say I move his arm, I like to always get this position, right? Here, right? I'm already under here. I like to lay my sternum on his tricep and scoop both of his arms.
Okay.
Now, that allows me to get here. Okay, that's the way I like to do it. If you're doing it where you're not controlling that arm, then you're gonna try to make a circular pattern with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, give that a shot. 1, 2, 3. So we're gonna go a different way this time. All right, and then I'll play 2 techniques off of this. Again, doesn't matter your technique, right? But we'll just say I'm gonna stick with this the whole time. Here, right? So we have everything, right? So look, we have his elbow open. I have this. My knees are high. Okay, I have options here. A lot of times, I like to go for like arm triangles and stuff like that here, right? Because this elbow is open, he doesn't have it in here, right? So when I have this really high, I can come down to this, and I'm gonna pummel my arm underneath, okay? And I'll hold this. I have an S-mount set up here if I'd like, but I also can walk this up, right? I'm keeping it here, and over, sorry. I'm trying to cup his shoulder, and then once I have it pinned with my neck and head, I'm gonna turn my hand to where I would point my thumb to the ceiling for placement. Hand on the floor, windshield wipe, here. Now, head to the floor. I can't be up here, he's gonna punch his arm over his head and start to defend, right? And exactly what he just did is gonna be the second thing we're gonna deal with today, right? So fist on the floor, head down, walk out 45, drop my chest into his armpit for the finish. It should be that easy, okay? We're gonna start with that. You guys have done that before. We'll probably do that for 10 minutes. And then the last part of class, we're gonna talk about what he does when he starts to defend and roll out, okay? So, well, I'll just do it from here. When I end up right here, right, I could pummel under here too, but a lot of times this elbow is gonna be up. So there's nothing stopping me from getting to his head, right? My hand is already underneath here, so I can get up under here, right? I start to walk it here. Once I have it, I have this kind of cross position. I'll pop my head to the floor, make my fist. If I take my head off the floor, he gets out. So I'm gonna go 45, drop my chest, get the finish, okay? Even this, and if he doesn't get his shoulders off the mat, he's gonna get choked out. It's only gonna buy him time, it's not gonna solve it. Which is why I don't wanna squeeze like crazy, because he's a strong guy. Some of these really big guys, like a Courtney or somebody like that, if I squeeze my arms out, I have to let go, he's gonna get out, right? I wanna make my fist, this part of my shoulder is gonna push into his armpit. My bicep has to be on his neck, elbow on the floor. If it's not working, your elbow's probably in the air. That means I'm not getting this artery. I might be crushing this side, but I'm not getting the other side, okay? So think of, I'm gonna make a dent in the floor with my elbow. It does not come off when I go to 45 degrees. Once I walk myself out to 45, drop my chest into this armpit, I'm gonna shove that into his neck, okay? Forehead needs to be on the floor so he can't get his arm out. Does that make sense? You should be able to do it with one arm. If we're using two, it isn't wrong, but I'm gonna tend to pull up on it, and I might put some pressure on his neck. It might pop a neck here or there. That's not the goal here, right? So a lot of times, right, strong guy, I'm pulling. His neck is on, I'm squeezing the crap out of him, but it's not as tight than if I used my body weight. Okay? It's a huge difference. You tend to pull. I don't want his head coming off the floor. Does that make sense? All right, let's do that. 1, 2, 3. So we end up here, right? I can come down to his head, right? And that elbow comes underneath. I always look for this armpit. That way I'm not gonna like slip around. If I get that armpit, I'm using my shoulder. Walk this up. Here. Now, head down. He's defending, that's fine. Windshield wipe. I start to be heavy, he's gonna start to try to turn out. Here, I'm gonna allow a little of that to happen, right? Instead of forcing him, I can force it for a minute. He starts to turn, I let it come up. I get into my sleeve. Do not make the fist early because his arm's in the way. He might still have it up here, okay? Use this hand like a blade, shove it into it where his carotid artery is. Then I make the fist to take the space. Knee high. Right? And then I just extend. Perfect situation. Get over here, extend. Okay? So it ends up being like that scissor motion into his neck. You can get it like this, but if you misplace this a little bit, meaning maybe up under his jaw, I might miss his artery. His artery might be a little lower. And if I'm just going through here and I'm like, it's not working, once I close this fist, I'm gonna make that space a lot bigger, surface area to cover that artery. Does that make sense? I'll do one going the other way. So, we get to this point here. Head down, windshield wipe. Here, he starts to turn. Here, right in here. Hand, make fist. Bring my knee high like I'm gonna go to S mount and sit. Okay? Now, a couple things. If your hands are like knuckles are bad, this blade grabbing is probably the strongest. You will see a lot of even high-level guys turn their hand to where this bends a little bit, probably because it's destroying their hand when they do this choke, because it sucks. Have you ever seen people, they'll let their wrist bend around it?
Yeah.
What that's doing is taking a little bit of the pressure off of these, right? A lot of times if I go in 4 fingers, it's just literally crushing my knuckles. Yeah. So what can happen is if I get here, instead of leaving that blade, I'll turn it a little bit, right? Some people will do that. So now it's not as brutal on my knuckles. It's still going to be tight on him. Okay. So you want to sit that knee high. Perfect world, throw the leg over. Just there's not going to be any rotation from him if I can get that leg over. But if you're already squeezing, you're probably going to get it. He'll be tapping before it gets that far. Does that make sense? So if you're the person on bottom, answer the phone, and you're going to try to heist away. You already have, you're underneath one arm and you have his neck, right? So essentially you kind of have like a seatbelt position, right? So we just keep that tight, allow him to move a little bit, and then we're going to catch this, okay? You can go 4 fingers in. Depends on your gi configuration. Like, you may not be able to get 4 fingers in on your sleeve, okay, right? A lot of times I'll just go like 3, right? Get in there, make your fist, finish it. All right, let's try it. 1, 2, 3.